Today, we're looking at some excerpts from How I Failed My Way into the Short-Term Rental Business by Walter Wofford. It's a pretty revealing personal story.
A really hands-on account.
Our mission here is to, follow his path from basically stumbling into short-term rentals or STRs to becoming a successful owner.
Yeah, and focusing on what he learned often the hard way, the strategies he ended up using, and importantly, some tools he found that really changed things for him.
Exactly. It's all about that real-world learning curve. Sometimes you got to mess up to figure it out.
For sure. And Walter's story definitely shows how those early mistakes, if you learn from them, can actually pave the way. We'll see how we went from the early days of STRs to building a real portfolio.
Okay, let's dive in. So Walter makes it clear this wasn't some grand plan. He basically just fell into the STR world. Over 15 years ago this was, down in Jackson, Mississippi.
And you have to think about that timing. 15 years back, Airbnb, VRBO, they were around, but super basic compared to what we have now.
Right. No kidding. It was kind of the Wild West. He was figuring this out almost from scratch before all the slick apps and support systems existed.
Definitely. And look where he is now. The source says he owns 6 STRs outright in the Jackson area, co-hosts another one.
And he's not just doing one type. He's using 4 different STR models, maybe whole houses, rooms, that kind of thing. And he owns them personally, but smartly, through legal entities for protection.
So he clearly went from, oops, I guess I'm a landlord now.
Yep.
To someone who's built a proper strategic business.
Yep. But you mentioned accidental landlord, and that really sets the scene for some, let's call them learning experiences early on.
Memorable ones, I bet.
Oh, yeah. His very first rental, it was his own house, a big lake house, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, mostly sitting empty.
Okay.
And his first thought was basically, hey, maybe I can make some money here. Rent it out.
And here comes what the source calls that initial wrong attitude. He listed his personal home, but completely as is.
Exactly. Clothes still in the drawers, food in the fridge, spices in the cabinet. His whole mindset was, hey, if you want to stay, pay up.
Yeah.
Zero thought about the actual guest experience.
Yeah. Anyone who's rented a place knows that's not how it works. Right. It's hospitality, not just letting someone crash.
Totally. And who does fate send as his very first guest? Get this. A professional resort property manager. From Hawaii.
Oh, wow. Talk about trial by fire. Instant expert critiques.
You couldn't script it better, but it gets worse. The guest shows up, can't even find the key, and actually has to break into the house just to get inside.
Oh, my goodness. Not exactly a smooth check-in.
Not the 5-star welcome. And because this guest was a pro, they didn't just complain. They left him feedback. A full yellow legal pad just crammed with suggestions for improvement.
A whole pad. Okay.
Yeah.
That's thorough.
And Walter's reaction, again, that wrong attitude. He kind of admits his first thought was basically, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. He even mentions thinking something like, my underwear's staying in the drawer. If you want to wear it, go for it.
Slight chuckle. Okay. Wow. Definitely learning the hard way about professionalism there.
Seriously. But here's a twist, showing maybe some connection was made despite all that. A couple months later, the same guest calls him back.
Really? After that experience?
Yeah. Sadly, his mother had passed away, and he needed a place for his family coming in for the funeral. Walter offered him the house, which was nice, but led to another mistake.
Okay, what was this one?
He offered it for free, which is generous, but he didn't set any rules, no end date, no expectations, just, yeah, sure, stay.
Boundaries. Even in generosity, you need clear agreements. So how long did that free stay end up being?
Well, the guest stayed for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Then Walter moved him to another property. He had one that wasn't even finished yet, and the guest stayed there for 2 more weeks.
Wow. So a whole month across 2 places, all starting from an open-ended free offer for a funeral stay. That's quite a lesson in setting expectations.
Absolutely. And Walter himself says it in the source, looking back. I didn't know what I was doing, just totally figuring it out.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway he pulls from it is crucial. We learn by doing. Those early kind of painful failures, that was his real education.
It really drives home that sometimes, especially in something new like STRs, where then you just have to stumble around a bit to find the right path. You trip over things, you learn.
Okay, so he survives those initial, let's call them character building rentals. But after that, he actually starts adding more properties, but this time intentionally.
Right. And styling up like that, it's a whole different ballgame. You need different skills, especially around, how to finance the deals and how to protect yourself once you own more assets.
Exactly. And this is where he got specific. He mentions using seller financing mainly, and also private lenders to buy more STRs.
Which isn't your standard go-to-the-bank mortgage process. That takes different know-how, different connections, different negotiations.
For sure. He apparently even made some videos teaching other people how he does the seller financing thing and how private lending works.
Okay, so sharing the knowledge too. And then there's the protection side. Once you have multiple income properties.
Yeah, asset protection becomes huge. He specifically talks about taking title to the properties in land trusts, also called title holding trusts. It's a strategy to shield assets.
And where did the money come from for a lot of this expansion? He mentioned something pretty sophisticated, using self-directed retirement accounts.
Right, invest in your retirement funds in things like real estate, not just stocks and bonds. That's a serious strategy. He made videos about that too, how to use retirement accounts for investing.
So he clearly didn't just accidentally keep doing STRs. He deliberately learned these specialized areas, creative finance, legal structures, after getting his feet wet, very wet, on the hosting side.
Definitely. And he seems pretty open about it. The source actually includes his contact info, says anyone interested in STR, seller financing, private lending, asset protection, or retirement account investing can reach out.
Oh, really? He gives it out.
Yeah, text him at 601-813-4661 or email walterwofford@gmail.com. Just use the subject help. Seems like he's genuinely willing to share what he learned, maybe save others some of that early pain.
That's pretty cool, sharing the shortcuts, or at least the lessons learned.
Speaking of lessons learned and getting more efficient, Walter apparently had another big aha moment, but this time focused purely on his business finances.
Okay.
The trigger was reading a book called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. This was back in 2017.
Ah, yes, profit first. I
Yeah.
know that one. The core idea is pretty transformative for small business owners, right?
Totally. Instead of the old way, sales minus expenses equals whatever profit is left over, you flip it.
Right. It's sales minus profit equals expenses. You decide your profit percentage first, take that money out, and then you have to run the business on what's left.
You pay yourself and the business's profit first. Simple but powerful.
Sounds great in theory. But was there a catch for him?
There was a practical hurdle. To really do profit first right, the book suggests having lots of separate bank accounts, like maybe 20 different accounts, one for each category you're allocating profit or expenses to.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot of accounts.
And his bank basically said no. They wouldn't let him open that many checking accounts. So the system seemed impossible to actually implement because of his bank's limitations.
Which really shows how sometimes traditional banking can hold businesses back, even from using smart financial strategies. He had the roadmap, but couldn't get the car, so to speak.
Exactly. Great strategy, but no tool to execute it. Until summer 2024. That's when he found something called RelayFi.
RelayFi. Okay, what's that?
It's a digital banking platform, but it's built specifically for business owners.
And did it solve the account problem?
Perfectly. RelayFi lets you have one main account, but then you can create up to 20 sub-accounts linked to it. Instantly, the Profit First system became totally doable for him.
Ah, okay, so it's designed for that kind of detailed money management. That makes sense.
And here's the kicker. The source really highlights this. The cost. For having all these accounts, it's FR-free.
Wow, free. Usually banks charge for extra accounts, especially business accounts. That's a huge deal.
It is. So now get this. He has 7 main Relay accounts, and each of those has the full 20 sub-accounts. That's what, 140 separate checking accounts?
140 accounts.
All with their own unique account numbers.
Ah,
And yeah, all free. It sounds like it completely changed his financial workflow.
I can imagine. He probably feels much more in control.
He makes it sound incredibly easy now. Says he does his banking in my bathrobe over coffee. Sends like 10 free ACH transfers a day. It just sounds smooth.
That automation must be the key part.
Totally. He explains that when rent money hits his main STR income account, RelayFi automatically splits it up based on percentages he set.
Ah, so it does the profit first allocation automatically.
Yes. He gives this great example with his Wi-Fi bill. Costs $100 a month.
Yeah.
He set up a specific Wi-Fi sub-account. He told RelayFi to send 1% of all incoming rent money to that Wi-Fi account. So if, say, $10,000 comes in, boom, $100 automatically goes into the Wi-Fi account.
And then he just pays the bill from that account.
Exactly. He uses a virtual debit card linked only to that Wi-Fi sub-account to pay the bill automatically each month.
That's brilliant. The money is pre-allocated, the payment is automated, it takes all the thinking and shuffling out of it.
His quote sums it up. No thinking, no stress. for that part of the finances anyway.
That's the dream for a lot of business owners, just reducing that financial admin headache.
And it's not just him finding it useful. He mentions a friend, Connor Bailey, who started using RelayFi. After 4 months, Connor apparently called it awesome and said it's now essential for his business and personal banking.
Yeah, that kind of word of mouth, real user feedback is powerful. Shows it's not just a one-off success.
So if you kind of connect all the dots here on Walter's journey, it's a really clear picture. He learned from some big mistakes early on, right?
Definitely started with some fails.
But then he actively looked for specific knowledge about financing, about asset protection, as his business needed to grow.
He didn't just stay stuck in that initial accidental landlord phase. He leveled up his skills.
Yeah. And finally, he found a tool, RelayFi, that let him solve a major operational headache and actually implement a better financial system he'd learned about years before.
It's that cycle, isn't it? Identify a problem like unprofessionalism or needing capital or messy finances, then find the knowledge or the tool to fix it. RelayFi seems like it was a huge unlock for the financial organization part.
It really frames business growth less like having a perfect plan from day one and more like, navigating the bumps, staying open to learning, and grabbing the right solutions when you find them.
Well said.
And speaking of solutions, Walter is actually offering to help you, the listener, get a handle on this financial piece, specifically with RelayFi.
Oh, extending that help offer again.
Yeah, he's offering a free 45-minute Zoom call. He'll literally show you exactly how he's set up and uses RelayFi.
That's generous. He mentions it took him, 45 hours to figure out his whole system?
Right. He says he can save you all that trial and error, walk you through it in just 45 minutes.
And you get the recording afterwards, too.
Yep. He sends you the recording of the call. Super useful to refer back to.
Okay, so how do people take him up on that?
Same contact info as before. Text him at 601-813-4661 or shoot him an email at walterwofford@gmail.com. Critically, make sure the subject line is just help.
Got it. Text or email, subject help.
Walter's story really hammers home how valuable it is to learn from those failures, but also how finding tools to automate things, especially finances, can just massively cut down on stress.
Yeah, freeing up mental energy.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What are the biggest friction points or time sucks in your own business or even personal finances? And how could maybe identifying and automating those free you up to focus on growth? Or maybe even help you skip some of those painful early mistakes Walter went through?
That's a great question to ponder. Where can automation remove the stress and let you focus on what really matters?